Hello, hello. I am Mayor Watt, and this is another episode of ohmTown Daily News Show. Let's get going. Hey, look. Got regular old music to start it out, but no intro music. It's only at the end. I'm going to keep on doing that. Why am I reading y'all in on that? I don't know. Just because. Have you ever thought that the holidays couldn't get here soon enough and you just want a break? That's not me with the stream. I've been doing it 325 days in a row so far. Is that a major thing for someone to stream? Maybe. To me, it's pretty awesome. So today's episode is for November 21st, 2022. I did not put anything in the showbot, and I did not submit anything for you to vote on. So we're going to do this live again. I have to submit everything. Right now, let me clear the list. We'll reset it. And I'll start submitting as we go. Again, I am Mayor Watt, and this is the ohmTown Daily News Show. Come on over to ohmTown.com, become a citizen, and then keep in touch by following me here on Twitch. And there's long-term storage over on YouTube. There's the podcast. You can listen to the podcast via these episodes via the website as well. But mostly it's here on Twitch, and then, like I said, go over to YouTube if you missed a past episode. I hope that they're interesting. Sometimes they ramble, kind of like this intro, for a little bit, and then our tires grab onto the soil, and we keep going forward. I've already selected, I think it's 11 articles, and like I said, I'll submit them over to Showbot as we go this time. If you type in !Showbot, it'll provide you a link, and that link will send you over to ohmtown.showbot.tv, where you can vote on today's articles. And I'm going to try and figure out a way so that we can retain them, so that we can see what the vote would be. Not really expecting many votes because it's hit or miss if anybody follows the URL to it. And, well, I only stream for an hour out of the day, so it's hard for people to get traction. But I assure you, if you come and visit the show, follow me, one or the other, I'll be able to stay online more often. I'm trying to, and starting in January of 2023, I'll be spending multiple hours each day streaming at least 2 shows, and then hanging out before and after a show. Each time I have to start and stop the show. Don't freak out. It's part and parcel to the new 2023 ohmTown Daily News Show and ohmtown.com. Come and check it out. Okay, so the first article is about a video that is capturing a fireball flashing across the Toronto skyline before it struck Earth near Niagara Falls. I'm going to say that it's aliens, but I'm sure this news article over at businessinsider.com by Kelsey Blamis is going to say that it was a meteor of some kind. So a vibrant fireball flashes across the night sky in the early hours of Saturday morning. And I talked about this briefly yesterday. Yep, there was something that came crashing down. It says the European Space Agency said the event marked only the 6th time in history the impact of a space object with Earth was successfully predicted. The agency said while most asteroid collisions with Earth are only discovered after the fact from evidence like craters, the number of occasions, in which a space rock is detected before it strikes is growing. Pretty neat. So It was anticipated by amateur and professional astronomers in the hours before it struck, and it monitors asteroids, the Minor Planet Center. And it was detected by Mount Lemmon Survey near Tucson, Arizona, triggering a quote-unquote warning of an imminent impact. Well, I hope that was a little bit softer roll than just getting that text from what detects asteroids. That would be unsettling. So how is this working? Not well, because I am not posting these into Showbot. So there's exclamation point in the URL, and that'll get plugged into Showbot, and now you can vote on it if you find that article interesting. The next article is Bob Iger is now taking over Disney again, replacing Bob Chapek. Apparently some long-term goals have become an issue, and the rumor is that there's reevaluation. It's pretty typical for a CEO to do. I don't really stress about those kind of things. If you're doing holistic or technical analysis on your stocks, trading throughout the day, you're going to be technical, but these holistic ones, you might benefit from paying attention to this if you're just now finding out through me. Nearly 3 years ago, Bob Iger stepped down as Disney's CEO, and he's back. After missing the onset of the pandemic, he returns to a very different company than the one he left, and he's expected to select another successor. Richard Lawler is the author of this over at TheVerge.com, and I thought it was interesting. Of course, Chapek was an Iger choice too. Chapek had been called the Tim Cook to Iger's Steve Jobs. But during his tenure, their handover got off to a rocky start with blow-ups like the Scarlett Johansson Black Widow lawsuit and Disney's initial lack of reaction to the Don't Say Gay bill in Florida, which scuffed its all-important reputation. And it's not moving fast enough can kind of impact you in the long term. Yeah. It's one of those things where you don't want to be the person telling somebody, it shouldn't take me reminding you of something like this for you to be aware of this. It happens to us all. And, to a point I can see it happening, but wow. During an episode of Decoder Podcast in April, former Verge writer and now Parrot Analytics senior strategy analyst Julia Alexander described the issues facing Chapek. That Bob Chapek is in a difficult position of trying to take Disney, a legacy company, and make it into a legacy company of tomorrow. Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to evolve. And this would have probably been a glacial pivot, but they could have, upgraded themselves and looked into the company, see themselves as the company of tomorrow. But you know what? They've always been innovative. They've always been, as far as the business model, it's been crushing it, just going and going and going. I see it as you better start paying more attention to the social issues more, in a more profound way. But we keep watching these companies and sometimes they just fall on their face. Okay, so let's go back to this. Make sure that sorry, things are a little quirky right now because I didn't get a chance to put everything into Showbot. So let's go. This next article is in the Warcrafters channel, 5 new Steam games that you probably missed. It's actually an article over at PCGamer.com. Sean Prescott is the author, and it says 5 new Steam games that you probably missed. Now, I took the honor of looking through these previous to the stream because I wanted to see if we had already spoke about these articles. And so Goodbye World is one of them. I'm not sure why the link is private. Maybe there is a video there that's turned off on YouTube, but it's a Steam game and it says it's called Goodbye World, but that's not what I wanted to talk about. I wanted to talk about Organs Please, which is a Steam game for $13. I don't know what it is immediately, but according to the article, it's $13. And so it launched in, oh, wait. Yeah, there we go. So it launched in early access about a week ago, I guess. And it says here, Organs Please is a game about operating a recycling factory, but here's a big twist. You guess it, it's a recycling of humans. So this was like perfect for Halloween, but it came out November 17th. This would have been fun to play. So it's a recycling facility on a spaceship, naturally, and in addition to building up these headquarters, you'll also be recruiting and nurturing your staff, though you can choose to turn them into canned food, apparently. Zero Sievert is another game, and this one was, it's fun to watch. Hold on one second. So it's fun to watch, but it's a top-down survival shooter set in a bleak, pixelated wasteland world, and top-down, it's isometric. Well, your perspective is isometric. Here, I'll even play the thing. There you go. Oops. So it's not as isometric as you might think something is this day and age. It's just drawn at an angle. It doesn't have real dimensionality to it. You can walk behind trees and stuff like that in buildings and whatnot, but I don't think you can rotate the camera around. I don't think anybody's done that. Anyway, Zero Sievert is a tense top-down survival shooter set in a bleak pixelated wasteland. Pardon me. I'm not sure what's going on here. With its Eastern European setting and post-apocalyptic vibe, this shooter resembles a retro take on the likes of Escape from Tarkov or DayZ. Yes, I agree. I think that's a great art. That's a great description. This was Sean Prescott again, by the way, over at PC Gamer. So, Lapin is a bunny kind of a game. It's a platformer, but you really have to see how it plays. So I just encourage you to go over and watch this video over at PC Gamer. And then there's Terracotta, which is an action-adventure game with some vague resemblance to the old 8-bit and 16-bit Zelda games. Again, go over and check out the bigger description and the videos that are over at PC Gamer. I really want to go and try out Organs Please, though. I'm probably going to buy that here right after this show. Maybe stream it. I don't know. Depends on if I can get my voice back. The next article is in the Four Wheel Tech channel, and it's Domino's buys 800 Chevrolet Bolt EVs as pizza delivery vehicles. I thought that this was an older article, but it's from Ars Technica today. So I'm kind of, my brain is breaking. They've done this before. Jonathan M. Gitlin over at Ars Technica writes this article, and it says, well, it may not be your favorite pizza slinger. One has to respect Domino's Pizza for being forward-looking. Whether or not it actually launched the first pizza delivery service in 1960, it certainly popularized the idea, and more recently, it's been testing autonomous vehicles and sidewalk robots to deliver pizza. So apparently, they bought 800 electric pizza delivery vehicles, and I'm sitting there going, I remember them doing that before. Pizza delivery vehicles, specific, not just people driving their internal combustion vehicles with a thing on the roof. They're now doing electric because if they keep it within 150 miles, then a car can go and deliver the pizza and come back because you're getting about 300 miles. Yeah, let's say 250. So As long as they're within 100 miles. Okay, wait. So it takes time to charge. So as long as they're within 25 miles of the store, they can go forever and just charge up like 9-volt batteries. These little bolts. Zoom. Anyway, that's a lot of money. 800 Chevy bolts. Pardon me. And it announced the arrival of 100 of them to select Domino locations. Can't wait until they're on eBay for sale. Okay. I'm losing my voice, so I think I'm going to end up going through these pretty straightforward. This next article is over in Warcrafters, mainly because of the source, but it's Black Friday SSD deals for 2022. I've been looking into getting another SSD, actually several, and decided to go over to PC Gamer because they talk about hardware. And so PC Gamer has this article by George Jimenez, Black Friday SSD deals 2022. The fastest PC storage at the lowest price. And they have 1 terabyte SSDs from a company called Solidigm, which I've never heard of, but don't hold that against me. I just may not know. For $60. And 1 terabyte SSDs, the Samsung 980 SSD for $80. So 1 terabyte. They also have pricing for the UK, so you might be interested in going there if you run across my stream anywhere. So let's look at this. The Samsung 980 Solidigm is at $60, but it's 1 terabyte and it seems a little bit slower than I would expect. In true to form, it reads fast, but it writes at a little more than half the speed, 75%, I'll say. And then the Samsung 980 is down there for $80. I think that is a great price, and we're heading towards Black Friday, so I think they'll probably disappear if you don't get in there now. I might end up buying them. So the 980 Pro is down there as well, 1 terabyte. And it's only $109, so about, $20 more? Yeah, Western Digital is at $100. Man, we really need to start getting out there and buying these because the prices are dropping the more that people buy. So I really dig that. So definitely follow this link, and let me throw it in there real quick into chat. Sorry that this show's taking so long. I'm barely into all of the articles. Okay, let me speed up a little bit. So here is the next article, and it's scientists don't agree on what causes obesity, but they know what doesn't. Rates of obesity won't budge as long as society views it as a personal issue. So what could it be? A select group of the world's top researchers studying obesity recently gathered in the Gilded Rooms of the Royal Society, the Science Academy of Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin, where ideas like gravity and evolution were once debated. I'll leave it all alone. Now scientists are arguing about the causes of obesity, which affects more than 40% of U.S. adults and costs the health system about $173 billion each year. And at the meeting's closing session, John Speakman, a biologist, offered this conclusion at the subject: there's no consensus whatsoever about the cause of what the cause of it is. And they're talking about obesity. So let's see. A nutritional biologist presented the idea that all carbohydrates and fat in our body today dilute the protein our bodies need, driving us to eat more calories to make up for the discrepancy. An endocrinologist spoke of the scientific model behind the low-carb diet approach. suggesting eating patterns heavy in carbohydrates are uniquely fat promoting. And while an evolutionary anthropologist argued many lean hunter-gatherer societies ate a lot of carbohydrates with a special affinity for honey. Yeah, but were they obese hunter-gatherer societies? Maybe they just moved slower. I don't know. And I've seen, well, never mind. The things I've seen. At any rate, still others thought perhaps the problem is less about what you're eating and more about what we're not. An ethologist, shared their work on the link between food insecurity and obesity in birds. And when food becomes scarce, animals eat fewer calories but gain more weight. I think that might hint at the starvation diet. That tends to be the thing that I keep hearing about, obesity and what we should be eating and how we should be eating, except that there's a whole broad spectrum of when somebody eats, when they don't, varying health, etc. And I think that really goes to the whole point of this article, which goes on for quite a bit. And if you're more interested in reading more about it, then go for it. But there is no firm consensus on what causes obesity. A lot of people out there will simply refer to it as calories, but there are people that are sedentary, eat only 1,200 to 1,400 calories, and they're still obese. And even intermittent fasting and working out, sometimes people end up getting heavier, and it's not muscle. They just don't burn off whatever it is that's causing them to end up obese. But one thing for sure is exercise is always good for you. But apparently it is not necessarily known what causes obesity, according to the Royal Society. Find that kind of interesting. There's more in that article, so definitely follow the link. The next article is in the Stock Marketeers channel, and this is about U.S. pricing for the median national rent. This article is over at Market Watch. It's by Emma Ackerman, and I don't like the median national rent or median pricing to be used, because depending on what the full spectrum is of pricing, it isn't necessarily accurate. $2,000 in some places, and this is just, it isn't the median, it isn't the mode, it's I'm sorry, it's not the it really should be the average, not the median. Higher, and really when you're looking at it, you should probably show what both the median is as well. It's basically, here, let me do something real quick. If you don't include more stats, it's basically just kind of nebulous is the word that I would call it. You never really know what the real average is. You don't know what any of these numbers are. 2,000 for the first time. I mean, what is the high end? What is the low end? Overall rents were nearly a percentage point lower compared to the previous month, falling 0.97%. It just seems like a stat. And that's why I included it in this, because you can sit there and look at stats and they can be manipulated one way or the other. And so not until you start looking really deep into this article may you find some specific elements that are actionable information, not just data. You know, on the local level, out of all of this is the last paragraph of this article, I think. Yeah. On the local level of the 50 metros rent.com analyzed, Oklahoma City led the annual rent increases In October, at 31.7%, Raleigh-Cary metropolitan area in North Carolina followed it with an increase of 21%. And Cincinnati at 17%, and Austin, Texas at 8, falling 8.7%. Yeah, you had to read basically the whisper of the article at the very end. Out of the state, they really, when you're going through school, you find out that these little tidbits that are just thrown on at the end of the article are just there for padding. The bulk of it is said at the top. But here it says, out of the states, Florida's market continues to dominate year-over-year rent increase at 23.2%. Yeah, there's a lot of money in Florida. You know that your property, apparently, your property can't get taken away from you in Florida during bankruptcy. It's a protected asset. Correct me if I'm wrong. That is what I was told. So this next article is over on the Warcrafters channel. I chose this because I'm really interested in Cyberpunk. And Cyberpunk 2077 is this really popular game. If you've never heard of it, I'm not sure what's been going on in your life in the last 2 years, but that might be a story in and of itself. Come and talk to me. But 2077 dips into white collar crime with this working stock market and news mod. This is awesome. I haven't seen it other than, this article. It says, that means 33 stock tickers that you can monitor and invest in, the likes of Arasaka and Militech, Lazarus, and others, all of which will bounce and dip depending on your completion of quests. It works like the stock market in GTA 5. Massacring a bunch of corp goons can tank its stock and give you the opportunity to buy low, but doing the same thing for that corporation's competitors could send the stock skyrocketing. This is awesome. So go and check this out. You'll have to go over to the article. If you follow the link through ohmTown, you'll get taken there, obviously. Let me throw it into Showbot for anybody else that might stumble into the room. Once it's in Showbot, you can actually do Showbot, and that will throw up the URL to the articles as they stand at this particular moment in the show, because I still have about 4 more. Strike that. It looks like I only have 2 more. And you can vote up or leave a comment if you just type in !S and then a nice message. You'll see that show up in Showbot as well. So use it wisely. Anyway, this article is over at pcgamer.com, and it's written by Joshua Wollens, and it actually shows the Keystone stock ticker. It's pretty neat, and has an active stock market, and it says here, stock tickers will soar or dip based on what you do in game. I hope it's even more complex than just eliminating some goon one way or the other, depending on which side of the fence you're on. But anyway, it says, thanks to a new mod from Keanu Wees and Scorn the Great, and uploaded by Nexus Guy 999, just winner names all around. You can stock. Stock market and news system finally extends the dead hand of finance capital. Man, my brain is breaking here. Into Cyberpunk's day-to-day. Okay, so I'm trying to wrap my head around that sentence. Stock market and news system finally extends the dead hand of finance capital into Cyberpunk's day-to-day. That's really hurting my head. At any rate, it's a dystopian world. That's okay. Anyway, I think that this is awesome. So what do you think? Let me know. It says the news service, meanwhile, comes with 66 news updates that are triggered based on the completion of missions and certain player actions. I don't really play Cyberpunk 2077. I love the idea of it. I love watching it. This might get me into buying Cyberpunk 2077. I know that there's a major update coming to it. You might want to go and check it out. It's over on Steam. Then you can download mods. So go get it. Okay. The next article is interest rates probably won't stay high thanks to a shrinking workforce and the tech industry's midlife crisis, top economist Paul Krugman says. This I categorize as no shit news. Yeah, that's pretty true. When the economy is starting to tank in one direction, the interest rate will increase. And then at some point they will have to lower it so that somebody buys at some point. But when somebody walks up to you and offers you a credit card, and it's at 30% interest rates are pretty damn high, bub. And no, of course not. They're not always going to stay high, but maybe 20% of the generation is going to die off by the time that they start going back down. In fact, let's look at the stock market. So today, the stock market is sitting at flat. We'll just call it flat. Right? I mean, I'm looking at futures and they're not going anywhere. Bitcoin bit it and is at below 16,000 at 15,791. Brutal. Gas prices continue to decline. That's pretty cool. You know, everybody slapping those stickers on there saying Biden did this, I did this, etc., etc. Yeah, that's gonna age well. Interest rates are going to decline. That's kind of how it works. Jennifer Soar over at businessinsider.com wrote this article, and here's a Nobel winning economist Paul Krugman looking at that sentence and title and saying, yeah, sure, go ahead and run with that. What all this suggests to me is that the era of cheap money is not, in fact, over. Right. That's because it's so inexpensive right now, huh? Okay. It says interest rates probably won't stay high thanks to a shrinking U.S. workforce and a tech industry in the throes of midlife crisis. Why? Mergers and acquisitions have concentrated wealth into a very select few people. While there are millionaires being made, millions doesn't mean much anymore. You have to have something like 2.5 million to be considered rich. And then it immediately ends up being 10 people at the very top owning 98% of the economy, or wealth, I should say. Everybody's working really hard, but not really paying the bills, right? Well, anyway, in an op-ed for the New York Times, the famed economist pointed out the surge in interest rates this year, which has largely been spurred by the Federal Reserve's fight to bring down inflation. All right. Already, the central bank has raised rates by nearly 400 basis points. I don't know. I witnessed oil, gas, and food, wheat in particular, prices going up pretty dramatically. And instead of people having a smaller profit margin, they end up charging everybody more because supposedly there's more money in the system. As I had a conversation today, why not have a smaller profit margin and more wealth go to your workers? They're the ones that are making your business a success. You just happen to be either lucky or well positioned for the accidental flop over to your side of the seesaw. I don't get it. I mean, I get it. It's called greed, but why can't people have money so that they can afford to get things? Meanwhile, everybody's needs are met. The margin is still high enough to pay for everything, and the company still makes some money to set aside for its own investment and purposes. But everybody else's needs are met, and you can reduce the margin and give more to your employees. Why does the CEO have to show up in a Ferrari, but nobody else employed there is allowed to get that Ferrari as well? The first person that you employed was should have been compensated at something greater than barely making enough to get food. Anyway, investment spending will only remain high if we expect rapid economic growth, and what we know now doesn't support that expectation. What? An investment slowdown will also be spurred by what Krugman calls a general disillusionment in tech, pointing to a recent article from The Atlantic that painted the once high-flying sector as navigating a midlife crisis. No, it's financial abuses and other social issues, but it's dramatically high prices from supposedly a supply chain that wet the bed, and for whatever reason, instead of going, hey, we know that prices are and we're going to have problem with the supply chain. No, we don't want to jack the prices up to $1,500 for a graphics card, but oh, look, this is what we're going to do. There's so much, the disillusionment isn't because of the interest rate hike. It's because everybody is freaking greedy. And finally, I'm going to be ending the show early. The word in tech, Ubisoft is back to releasing games on Steam, including Assassin's Creed Valhalla. And we are constantly evaluating how to bring games to different audiences wherever they are, while providing a consistent player ecosystem through Ubisoft Connect, reads part of the statement from Ubisoft spokesperson Jessica Roche to The Verge. And Roche declined to say whether that means Ubisoft will now regularly bring games to Steam or if it's on a case-by-case basis. So maybe Ubisoft doesn't know exactly what they have planned, or they're going to plan to have both and release only on their platform shortly and then the long term over on Steam. But that's what they had to say. And of course, there is always more over at theverge.com, including this article that goes well beyond making the statement that I just read you, and the fact that it's not clear why Ubisoft stopped putting its games on Steam or why it's even coming back. Quite interesting. This is an article by Sean Hollister over at The Verge, and you know what? I am going to call it quits. Yeah, it's kind of a weird, slow kind of news day. We know that it was a long weekend. Yeah, I'm going to just end the show early. Sorry for all the ums. I'll correct it in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.